Hey everyone, welcome to DevCraft Projects. In today's video, we're going to build something really cool and useful, a random password generator using just HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. We'll cover everything from setting up the files to designing a beautiful interface, and then adding smart functionality with JavaScript, step by step and line by line. All right, before we jump into the code, let me quickly show you what we're going to build today. This is our random password generator. All you have to do is click the Generate Password button, and boom, a strong, random password is created right here. You can also click this copy icon, and the password gets copied directly to your clipboard, ready to paste anywhere. All right, let's set up our project folder first. I'll head over to my desktop and create a new folder. I'll name it Random Password Generator. Now I'll right-click on this folder and choose Open with Code. This will launch Visual Studio Code with our project ready to go. Inside this folder, we need 3 files. First, I'll create a new file called index.html. This will hold the structure of our web page. Next, I'll create style.css, which will contain all of our styling. And finally, we'll create app.js, where all our password generation logic will go. All right, let's quickly start by generating the basic HTML structure in VS Code. I just press Shift+1 and hit Enter. This gives me the full HTML5 boilerplate instantly. After that, we set a meaningful title, Random Password Generator. This will appear in the Browser tab. Now we link our custom CSS file, style.css, so the design and layout we'll write later can take effect on this page. That's all for the head. Now let's move on to the body, where we'll build the visible part of our app. First, we create a main container using a div with the class name container. This will wrap everything nicely in the center. Inside the container, we add an h1 tag with the class title. This heading will say Generate A on the first line. And Random Password on the second. We'll use a span to style that second line differently. Below that, we create another div with the class input box. Inside this box, we add an input field of text with the ID password, and placeholder will be password. This is where the generated password will appear. And now comes the font awesome part. We need this to use icons in our UI. To get this, just open your browser and search for Font Awesome CDN. Click on the first link that appears. It's usually from cdnjs.com. Just copy the first one, which is the latest version of Font Awesome, and paste it right here in the head section like I've done. Next, go to fontawesome.com and search for copy in the search bar. You'll see a list of icons. Click on the first one and you'll find the HTML snippet for the icon. Copy that and paste it right inside the input box, next to our password input field. Then finally, we add a button with the ID btn. It says Generate Password, and also includes a Font Awesome lightning bolt icon at the end for a cool touch. Now to actually view our project in the browser, we'll use a really helpful extension in VS Code called Live Server. You should see our main heading, a text box where the password will appear, a copy icon, and a button to generate the password. Now let's move on to styling our project. We'll start by resetting the default spacing and layout behavior of all elements. This removes all the default margin and padding added by browsers and sets the box sizing to border box. So padding and border don't increase the overall width or height of elements. Now we'll style the body to create a full screen layout with a beautiful background and center the content. We're using a linear gradient that goes from deep navy blue to teal for a rich background. You can always experiment with other directions too, like to bottom to top left, or even use multiple colors to create more complex effects. These darker tones give our design a clean and professional look, which is perfect for something like a tool or utility app. The display Flex makes the layout flexible, and a line item center aligns everything vertically in the center. We set Justify Content Start to align content to the left side. You'll see this when the content appears. Finally, Height 100 BH ensures our design takes the full height of the browser. Next, we'll style the main container that holds everything. This gives the container some space from the left side and sets a fixed width. You can adjust this based on your screen. Now let's style the main heading using the title class. We set the text color to white, added spacing below using margin bottom, and adjusted the font size and line height for a bold and clear heading. For the word random password, we gave it a gradient effect using the span tag. Here's the CSS. We're using a linear gradient as the background. It transitions from a light grayish white to a bright cyan, moving from left to right. But instead of using this gradient as a background behind the text, we're actually applying it inside the text itself, which gives us that beautiful glowing effect. This gives us a modern gradient-filled text that catches the eye. Next is the input box where the password appears. We use Flexbox to align the input and icon horizontally. This gives the box a clean white background, rounded corners, and padding inside the box. First, we use Display Flex. This turns the container into a flex box. Then we add Justify Content, start to align all the content to the left side of the box. The background color is set to white, so the input field stands out clearly against our dark background. Next, we apply padding. This gives space inside the box. Finally, border radius rounds the corners of the box. These small design touches make the input area look clean, user-friendly, and professional, exactly what we want in a polished UI. Now we'll style the password input field itself first. We use Flex 1. This means the input field will take up all the available space inside its parent inputs. Pushing the copy icon to the side, then we remove the default borders and outlines. This gives our field a clean, modern look. We set the font size to make the text large and easy to read. The color is set to a medium gray, which is dark enough for readability. Lastly, we set the cursor pointer, which changes the mouse cursor when hovering over the input field. Now let's style the copy icon, which uses the FontCopy class from Font Awesome. We set its color to a vibrant teal shade that perfectly matches the theme. Then, we set the font size, keeping it consistent with the input text, so everything feels balanced and visually aligned. This icon not only looks good, but will also be functional soon. Next up, we're styling our Generate Password button. And this is done using the BTN ID selector. First, we remove any default border outlines using Outline None and set the border to 1px Solid Transparent. This lets us later create a nice hover effect without any harsh borders. Then, we set the width to 50%, so the button takes up half the container, giving it enough visual weight without looking oversized. For padding, we add some breathing space inside the button, and we add a margin top to give it some space from the input box above. We round the corners slightly using border radius sand. Set the font size to 18px so the text inside is easy to read. The background color is a vibrant teal, which matches the copy icon and keeps our color scheme consistent. The text color is set to white and with font weight 600. The button label appears bold and clear. Finally, cursor pointer ensures that when a user hovers over the button, it turns into a hand icon, making it clear that this element is clickable. Then we style the bolt icon inside the button. Just a small left margin to add spacing between the text and the icon. Now let's make the button interactive by adding a hover effect. We're targeting the BTN using hover selector. This means whenever the user hovers their mouse over the button, the styles inside this block will be applied. First, we set the background, color to transparent. Then, we give it a white border, making the button stand out clearly against the background. And finally, we set the text color to white so it stays visible and contrasts nicely. And with that, we're done styling the entire layout of our password generator. Now it's time to make our password generator actually work using JavaScript. First, make sure to link your JavaScript file in your HTML. Go to the very bottom of the HTML file, just before the closing body tag, and add script tag and add your file. Alright, inside our JavaScript file, let's first target the elements we'll be working with. The first line selects the input field, where the password will be displayed, and stores it in a variable called generated password. Now let me quickly explain this. Document.querySelector is a built-in method that lets us select elements from our HTML page. Since we want to select an element with a specific ID, we use the hash symbol followed by the ID name, in this case, hash password, so. This line is saying, hey browser, go find the element with the ID of password and store it in a variable so we can use it later. Next, we target the copy icon and store it in a variable called copy. And finally, we get the button that generates the password and store it in generate BTN. These three elements are going to help us display the password, copy it, and trigger the generation logic. Alright, now that we've selected our HTML elements, let's define the different types of characters we want in our password. First, we create a string of all uppercase letters. Then, we do the same for lowercase letters. Next, we include numbers. Finally, we add some common symbols to make our password more secure. After that, we combine all of these into a single string called allcers. This way, we can randomly pick from the entire set. Now let's define how long our password should be. In this case, we'll set it to 15 characters, and that sets us up perfectly to start building the password itself. Now we're going to create the actual logic to generate our random password. We start by declaring a function using arrow function syntax. Inside this function, we first create an empty string called password. This will be used to build our password character by character. To make sure the password is strong, we begin by adding at least one character from each category. So first, we pick a random uppercase letter. This line picks a random index from the uppercase string and adds it to our password. Let's look closely at this line. Here we're picking one random uppercase letter from the uppercase string. Math.random generates a decimal number between 0 and 1. We multiply that by uppercase.length, which gives us a random index between 0 and 1, and the length of the string. Math.floor then rounds that number down to the nearest whole number, giving us a valid index. Finally, we use that index to grab a letter from the uppercase string and add it to our password. This ensures every password starts with at least one uppercase letter. We repeat this for lowercase letters, then for numbers, and finally for symbols. This ensures our password starts with at least one character from each type, which is great for security. Now that we've added one character from each category, we still need to fill the rest of the password. We do that using a while loop. This loop keeps running until our password reaches the desired length of 15 characters. Each time, It adds a random character from the full character set, which includes all uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and symbols. And finally, we display the generated password in the input field using .value. This sets the value of the password input box to the newly generated password, so it appears instantly for the user. Now let's break down how the copy feature works. This function is called copy password. Inside it, we first select the input field using password.select. This highlights the current value inside the input box, just like when you manually select. Text to copy, then use navigator.clipboard.treeText. This line copies the password text directly to the user's clipboard using the modern Clipboard API. So now, when a user clicks the copy icon, the password is immediately ready to be pasted. Anywhere, no extra steps needed. Now, let's make the buttons actually work by attaching event listeners first. We add an event listener for the Generate Password button. This means that whenever someone clicks the button, the Generate Password function will run and a brand new password will be created. Next, we have the copy icon. This also has a click event attached to it. So when the user clicks the icon, the copy password function gets triggered, and the password is copied directly to their clipboard. These event listeners link our HTML with our JavaScript functionality, making the app interactive and fully functional. Alright, now let's see the final result in action. I'll click on the Generate Password button, and a strong, completely random password appears. Now if I click on the copy icon right next to it, the password gets instantly copied to my clipboard. It's simple, fast, and really handy. And the best part? You can keep generating as many new passwords as you want with just a single click. And that's it. Our fully working random password generator is ready. Using just HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, we built a clean UI, added interactivity, and made sure the password can be generated and copied with just a click. Along the way, we explored how to access DOM elements, use math functions to generate randomness, and handle user interactions with event listeners. This project is a great way to practice your JavaScript basics and improve your logic building skills. Now, here's your challenge. Try making this app even better. Maybe allow the user to select password length or choose whether to include symbols or not. This is just the starting point. Build on it, break it, improve it, and you'll learn more than you think. If this video helped you in any way, go ahead and like the video. Subscribe to DevCraft Projects and hit the bell icon so you won't miss the next exciting build. Keep building and happy coding.